Alrighty, welcome back everybody. Oh boy, we're echoing again. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, let's try that again. Welcome back everybody. We're gonna be doing our Web Exploitation 2 today, hosted once again by Ryan over here on my left. Oh, are my levels up? Yeah, okay, we're good. Alright, so Ryan's going to be walking us through some slightly more advanced web exploitation techniques today. Last session we saw some HTML stuff, some JavaScript stuff. We messed around with the browser console. So today we're going to be talking about a couple more slightly advanced tools. Um, yeah, I'm going to let him take it away. There's not a whole lot of announcements for the club today other than playing Seesaw next weekend. This weekend we're playing Al's CTF and Rat CTF. Um, so yeah, if you don't have the Docker, you can download it at the ctf.boilers.com/docker that was posted earlier in the chat. So go ahead and do that. You will need it for some of the stuff. All of the um, resources are also available on our GitHub page. There's a public repo with all of the challenges that Ryan's going to be going over. Alrighty, take it away.
So, welcome back to day 2. Thank you guys all for coming. So, I think I saw a quick question in the chat.
Oh, they can't hear anybody. Or they can't hear you, I guess.
Can't hear me?
Yeah, 1 second. I just got to switch it around. All right, try again.
Can you guys hear me now?
No, it's still not working. Try one more time.
Hear me now.
There we go.
Hey. Sweet. All right. So I'm good. All right. So welcome back, everyone. Thank you for coming to the second iteration of our elite web exploitation bootcamp session. We're going to get into some more complex topics today. So please ask questions if things don't make sense. One of the quick questions I saw in the chat before I turned it off is, are most things like most web CTF challenges inspect element? No, most of them are not inspect element. It's just trying to start from the basis and work our way up here. But yeah, so today we are going to be working our way up with a long response to a sassy Reddit comment. You'll see why it's titled that later. But yeah, here's our quick overview. Welcome back. Twitch does not play CTF. We'll have another interactive demo, and then we'll see if demo 4 is going to be interactive or not. Depending on how much time we have, we might even have a 5th demo. So we'll see how we can get through this, and then we'll go over questions again as well. So yeah, welcome back. That's all I gotta say. So a lot of you guys wanted to see what more of a CTF challenge would look like, rather than kind of these walk you through it type of challenges I've been giving you. So you guys get to say if you would like me to solve a easy CTF challenge on stream, or a not easy or a less easy CTF challenge on stream. So go ahead if you would like me to solve the easier challenge or the not as easy challenge here, in chat or wherever. Actually, in chat is probably the only place.
What a slick question. Almost nobody wants you to do the easy one. Oh, that's not true, actually. A couple people want easy.
Okay, interesting.
Overwhelmingly not easy though. Maybe you should make a separate YouTube. You should make a second YouTube video afterwards if you're doing the easy one, so that people who wanted to see that can see it.
Yeah, it's both of these challenges are from the 2019 bootcamp CTF, so there are already write-ups online, but I can also make another make a YouTube of the easy challenge as well. So it looks like we're gonna do the not easy one. Thanks, guys. And it's not going to be Twitch plays. So if you guys haven't heard of Twitch plays CTF, look it up. It's hilarious. And also long and not what we're going to be doing today. So if I can remember where it's at. Boom, got it. Seriously, it's not what? Oh, yeah. Let me pull this up again real quick. There we go. Sweet. All right, so this is the never do a PhD challenge. And I'm just hosting it on our website for a little bit. So I can walk you through this demo, or this challenge rather. So this is the homepage on what you get when you open up the challenge to the index, which is always a good place to start. So when you start a CTF challenge, you're usually going to get the name of the challenge if it's in the Jeopardy style, the name of the challenge, a description, and generally web challenges have a link to where the website or web server is hosted. And the description kinda explains what you have to start doing. So in this case, I don't think there was a very interesting description. I think it was something along the lines of "never do a PhD," which is an inside joke with a couple people. But anyway, when we first get to this page, well, we don't really see much. We can read all of the text that's here, and doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, other than why to never do a PhD, but we don't really understand where the flag could be right now until we get to the end here. Welcome back, Anon. So Anon usually stands for anonymous, or like a user who's not logged in. So that's a big kind of hint as to what we're trying to do. Maybe there's another user here that isn't Anon and could be a like, I don't know, an admin or someone with higher privileges than we have right now. So right now, if I were solving this challenge and hadn't solved it before, I would definitely be looking at this line very closely. So let's look at that line a little closer. First off, the inspect element. Not all CTF challenges are inspect element, but they have usually a part in some of it. So we find this welcome back anon, and it's just a heading. We don't really see anything here. Just in the head, we have a couple script imports. These are just basic kind of jQuery and Bootstrap JS files that shouldn't have anything crazy about them, but we can always just double check. Yeah, looks ugly. Yep, looks ugly. Also has the copyright for the jQuery stuff. So, yeah, Bootstrap. Yep. Those look like they're fine. Usually, if there's something that's just a jQuery or like public domain type of script, it's not going to be like in scope, but it's always nice to double check. So nothing in the head. Let's continue on. See if there's anything here. Let's actually view page source so we can see everything at once and we don't have to go through and click all the things. So looking through this, is there anything that anybody sees? That we should maybe like take a closer look at? Mm. Ooh, interesting. Ah, this line right here. Um, Again, not all CTF challenges are inspect element heavy. This is just has a little part of inspect element. But yeah, so here we've got a list item that contains a link to index.txt. So what does that even mean? Let's find it here. Where is it at? Oh, there it is. And let's uncomment it with the right brackets, please. And then let's go to index.txt. All right. So first off, we see another comment here saying old version, please update. So it could be a newer version that's running on the actual site. And then we see this guy right here. If I can highlight it, there we go. Bam, there we go. Now you can see that. So this little opening question mark PHP guy tag is the way that the website or the this is PHP. All right, there we go. All this code right here is PHP until the ending little question mark tag here. So that means that the never do a PhD if you just really replace the D with a P, never do a PHP. I guess that's where the name of the challenge comes from. So let's zoom back out real quick and see what we got. So we've got this section right here, which is PHP that isn't in the source of the HTML file that we're served. And then we've got this PHP section right here. So remember that heading tag, welcome back Anon? Well, right here, we have welcome back admin. And here's your flag. So definitely a good place to start if there's a welcome back username type of thing. In this case, we couldn't control this anon. Well, so we didn't really look too hard. But yeah. So if admin echo welcome back admin and then the flag. So how do we get admin to be true? I'm assuming it's up here. Yeah, here it is. Admin equals true. So some of you guys might be going, wait, why is there this code right here, but it's not in the code right up here with the HTML file we're given. So if you remember back from the Monday talk, session, lecture, whatever you want to call it, stream, I mentioned this client versus server side thing. PHP is a all of this PHP code runs on the server side, and then once it finishes, it'll edit, not edit, but like echo out things based on variables. So you can run a PHP file server side, which will give you a different HTML file on the response. So it's really cool. It's a server side scripting language. It's can do a bunch of stuff. Let's see, I definitely had something else I wanted to say. Yeah, so it's like having a server and a web page that's kind of mushed into one thing. Some people view this as something that's cool, and some people think PHP is absolutely disgusting. So, does anyone have any ideas what to do now? Now that they've seen this section of PHP and this section of PHP?
Oh yeah, we're getting some people saying, quote, some hash nonsense.
I like that. Uh, yeah, we can go off some hash nonsense. So, yeah, we want this if condition right here to be true, and then it'll set admin to true. So, how do we do that? That's the real trick to this challenge, I guess. Um, so we've got zoom in again.
Throw it into.
All right. So we've got if this string equals hash SHA-256 hash of your PHP sesh ID ses. I'm going to pronounce that sesh because that just sounds better. So what is this variable? What is our cookie? Oh goodness, it's huge again. We can do so again in the oh, this is Chrome. Yikes. I don't often use Chrome, and I always forget where they put the cookies. There we go. Sweet. So I just hit the X button. Let's put this down on the bottom so we can actually see what's going on. And cookies. PHP session ID. This is what our session ID is right here. Now we want this value to equal this value, right? So can't we just, copy this value and then put it in here? Yeah. Can I get some guesses onto if we're gonna get a flag if we refresh the page right here?
Luckily,
How many
everybody
people?
luckily everybody watching this stream is really smart and they know what a hash is. So that's really dope. Um,
Excellent. Were you gonna say anything else?
no, it's
No.
all you, my dude.
Okay. You sounded like you were gonna say anything else or something else. Yikes. All right, sweet. So if we refresh the page here, nothing happens. So thankfully you guys got that question right. It's going to take the SHA-256 hash of this this cookie right here. So we're not actually going to directly compare it with this value, which is awesome. I can actually go into the Docker real quick. If I can find it. Yeah. And run the the PHP function with this. Nope. No, not copy and paste. No. All right. Copy, shift insert, Control V. How do I paste into the? Oh God. Okay. Well, I can't paste into it. But I'm going to. I don't have PHP on this computer. Is there any way I can get into hold right click? Oh, it's control, right? No. Nope. Middle click. Maybe. Here, let me copy it again. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to, no, that's not working. I'm trying to run this, the same PHP command that is running here to see what the output is. Let me run it on my laptop and like hold it up, I guess. Or do you have, yeah, I guess
I'm about to Google how to paste into this terminal.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, I can't even right click in this.
Try middle
Yeah, I did.
clicking.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Left click. Try right click. Did you
nope,
try?
not left click. Not right click. Oh God. All right, I'll type in the hash. Here we go. Oh, which window is that gonna be?
Right click the bar on the top of the window.
Oh, right. Copy. Rip. Shift insert. Yeah. Shift insert does
Should be
something.
an option that says set it. That says edit when you open up that.
Do I have like? No, I don't even have a clipboard on this right now. All right, I'm gonna just type it in. If I drag this, which one is it? All right, well, give me a second. I'm gonna type it out.
You need to make sure you're not selecting a line when you right click. Is what.
Oh lordy.
string right here.
No one has any audio.
No audio. Okay, sweet. Spoiler alert, this string right here is actually could be interpreted as a really not really small, but 0. Can anyone see how this could be interpreted as 0? I'll give you like 2 seconds, and then I'll say it. This 0e. So has anyone heard of scientific notation before? Hopefully. If not, 0e stands for 0 times 10 to the this power. So 0 to any, or times 10 to any power is going to be 0. So the solution to this challenge is, how do we get one PHP to interpret this and the output of this hash function as a number? And is that even possible? So short answer, yes, it's possible. This is something that has been done before, and people have put their computers through multiple cycles to actually find some hash that will result into a 0e and then all numerical power. And then I definitely missed something. Yeah, another important thing to note with this is that this double equals is not a triple equals. So there's, since PHP is loosely typed, or not typed, this is the equal operator, and the triple equals is the identical operator. So definitely a big thing to look out for as well. So there's a couple places online where you can find these magic hashes that will result in the output of the SHA-256 and other hashes to the 0E23, or not 0E23 exactly, but 0E and then a number. So here, I'll show an example of that here. Oh, I didn't want to. There we go. So if we do php-r echo hash, we'll do 0e and then a bunch of numbers equals the output of the hash of no hash. We don't need a hash. This is just proving a point. So we have 0e 1 2 3 5 5 6 6. We're just going to set this to 0e 88, right? So these are not, these shouldn't be identical. What? God dang it. Classic live demos. So that's super hard to see. Can I put a new line? Nope. All right. Anyway, so this one is very hard to see, but it's here. Wait, hold up. Let me just work. Yeah, there we go. All right, now you can see it. So the output of this echo command from PHP is 1, which is true, which is strange because this does not. You wouldn't think this would equal this, but as long as this 0e is being interpreted as scientific notation, and this 0e is also being interpreted as scientific notation, it'll be pretty much just 0 equals 0, which is true. And that's what's happening here. So one of these magic hash magic hashes is hash 56. It's this. I'm gonna type it in. Much simpler than the other output hash. But if we do this, we forgot to echo it. There we go. So we have the 0e and then a fully numerical or decimal output here, which means that this will get interpreted as, or we hope it gets interpreted as scientific notation. So let's do one more echo to test. You can scroll up here. We're not typing that out again. Equals and then hash. So we're just replicating the logic in the PHP file right now. Specifically this one right here. So we're checking to see if our hash or our magic hash will be equal to this hash right here. It's always nice to just double check before you run something. And we get a 1. So let's put that into our session, PHP session right here. Let's zoom out again. And let's refresh the page. We did it. So I'm going to give like 5 minutes for questions because that was a lot of stuff. And I definitely didn't go over that as cleanly as I could have. So if any of that did not make any sense, I'll try to explain that as I'm setting up the next bit. But yeah, the only thing that you should have gotten out of that is never do PHP because some people really dislike it. But yeah, if there's no questions, I'll keep going.
Somebody would like to know, how did you come up with the cookie value to be hashed?
The cookie value to be hashed. So that's the magic hash. Let me pull up where I got that from. There's a GitHub repo of a bunch of magic hashes that someone's pre-computed. So is here. This GitHub. I can send this in the Discord so you guys have that. Yeah, sweet. So this repo has a bunch of just magic hashes for all of these different hash functions. So if someone does use the double equals, you can get past it with this repo, which is super helpful for CTF challenges, but not super helpful for real life stuff because thank goodness people are very well aware of this now. This has been around for like 5+ years. So yeah. Is there any more questions or?
There are a few more questions. So let's see. Somebody says, where should we go to learn more about hashing? Just Google it, question mark.
That's a good place. Yeah, hashing is you can probably ask in crypto as well. I don't know if Brandon's going over hashes. But yeah. Okay, so yeah, stay tuned to the crypto presentations. They'll go over it more. But if you don't want to wait until then, you can always just Google it. And you said there's a couple more?
Yeah, so somebody else says, well, a few people are asking about the cookie value. And then somebody says, can you show the PHP command you did again?
Yeah. So php-r, and then you can just pretty much just run any PHP command in brackets or brackets quotations.
Somebody else says, are HTML and PHP top priorities to learn web exploitation?
HTML definitely. You definitely want to learn HTML and how that works. It's shouldn't take too long to pick up, and PHP is definitely nice to know, or at least some of the major issues with it. Most of them that you'll find in CTF challenges are these type juggling kind of errors, and there's a couple more. There's a lot of weird things you can do with PHP. You obviously don't have to learn all of them, but just to be aware that there are quirks with the language was definitely helpful.
Somebody else is asking, how would you complete the solve on this? Would you put in the hash value into the cookie, or would you put in the thing that hashes to the value in the cookie, if you wouldn't mind just finishing it?
Yeah, I think I did finish it here.
Oh,
So
my
I
bad.
put in, yeah, no, you're good. The value that hashes to that 0e decimal value. And then the PHP will actually do the hash for me, which is really nice because then I wouldn't have been able to copy and paste it out. But yeah, I think that's a
Folks,
good place.
I
Are
was going
you
to say,
and I about to say the same thing?
let's go ahead and move on. Any other questions? I'll try and answer them in chat as Ryan is continuing.
Awesome. Sweet. So next bit is demo 3 database or data fort. This is databases. A quick little bootcamp intro on that. So databases are used pretty commonly in websites around the internet to store and recall data quickly. Um, these databases are also treasure troves for hackers that are trying to pwn your site or for CTF challenges. So just a quick note that there are relational and non-relational databases. We're just going to talk about relational databases, but the big difference between those two are relational databases store data into groups or tables, and non-relational databases don't. Just a little nice tidbit of information for CTF challenges or tech talks. But I'm just going to stick with MySQL for this presentation and the CTF or demos and stuff, which is a relational database. So it'll look exactly like this, with your blurry pictures and all that. Just kidding. I'm going to show a much nicer picture in a second here, but relational database structure is very important, and it can also be gone over very quickly. So here's the much nicer photo right here. As you can see, I have drawn it in paint. So this little red square is the database. In MySQL, you can have multiple databases in one MySQL instance. That's nice to know. Then inside databases, you've got this little blue square, which is your table. You can have multiple tables in a database. And then inside the table, you've got rows and columns. So hopefully you guys can all see that. I added some text just in case you can't read that, because again, it's in paint and absolutely disgusting. So, of course, I couldn't just leave you with one paint drawing. I had to do another one. As you can see, I failed all of my intro to drawing classes. So here we have a little close-up on the blue square, which was representing tables. So we've got the row in green and the column in yellow. So if you can't read what this says up here, because it's in yellow and I can't write with a mouse, it's down here on the bottom. So this is the ID column, and you can think of these rows and column relationships as like a variable type, and so all of the variables in this ID type or ID column, we can define those to an integer type. So all of these values in all of the rows following would have to be an integer. Likewise, with the name column, we can define this to be a string, and all of these entries in the name column will have to be strings. So it's very nice and very structured and very organized, which is good when you're trying to program something with it. It's just always going to be there. So anyway, that's what the columns are. The row is just a single row of column, or a single row of column, a single row of data. So at ID 0, we've got the name Joe, and Joe is aged 22. So just kind of like an overall complete entry. So all that's cool, but how do we actually access this data? So this is an example query, which is just a SQL command basically to insert data into a database. So in this case, we're inserting into database name.database table, or table name. And we're going to be inserting an ID, a name, and an age with the values 0, Joe, and 22. So exactly what we have here, we're inserting into this database name table name place. Then likewise, to get or retrieve the data that is in this database name table name table, it's select ID, because we want to receive the ID, name, and then age from this database name table name area. So I'm not going to go too much into SQL. Definitely give this one a Google. It or take a like databases class. It helps a lot. But one thing that is super helpful is if we just want to get this one row with the ID 0 to get Joe and 22, we have to add a little conditional to the end of here. So same selection query as before. We want to get the ID, name, and age from the same place. But we've tacked on this little where ID like 0. So where the ID is 0. So it makes sense if you say it out loud, but again, it takes a little bit to pick up the actual SQL syntax. There's a bunch of online kind of SQL checkers and tutorials and stuff that are great places to look to get started with all of this. But yeah, the next thing I'm going to go over is the permissions. Databases have users and or can have users that have different permissions. So if you've heard the drop tables, heard of dropping tables, users don't always have the drop tables drop permissions. So yeah, that's not always going to happen. These permissions are granted when the users are created, and they can be anything from select to insert to drop. So this is just the MySQL reference. You can Google it by just looking up MySQL. This demo uses MySQL 5.6 specifically. So yeah, if you want to learn more about databases, again, try to take a databases class or actually just build a project or a website that incorporates a database so that you know or you can learn how things interact with each other. But yeah, so this one can be accessed from inside of the Docker, but it's got a different URL. Um, this might be hard for some people to follow if they've never seen SQL before, and that's okay. Um, we're going to be on chat to help answer questions if you get stuck. There's only 2 flags for this demo, but there's a lot more information to pick up on here. So you guys can go ahead and go to this link in your Docker container or wherever you feel most comfortable, and try to work through this. So I guess I continue the tradition of talking about CTFs while everyone is grinding away on the demo. So um, a lot of these SQL challenges, I guess I'll talk about. Um, sometimes they're super nice, and they have a like search bar or um, something where you can actually type directly into them. But sometimes it's just a request, either to an API, and the API makes the query, and you have to make like a custom call to an API, which will then call and craft an SQL query. But you can't see what's going on in between. Remember that server side is all like a black box. So you had to figure out, one, that the API you were calling was calling a database, and then two, how to make that API call correctly with an SQL injection. So that's a fun challenge. But yeah, I think I'm gonna look at chat maybe, see if anything comes up.
Doesn't look like anybody has questions yet.
Good.
Yeah, so Ryan alluded to this a minute ago, but a lot of what we deal with now in modern CTF challenges where the solution is something concerning SQL is what's called prepared SQL. So basically, um, somebody will build a more secure SQL system. So there's prepared SQL is a programming technique. It's not specifically a hacker thing or anything like that. Um, Basically, what you do is you write out what your SQL statement is, except for one variable that you want to insert into the statement, and then you execute that statement with the variable inserted in a secure manner. So typically that'll involve stripping a string of certain characters or something like that. So um, Ryan's going to cover SQL injection, but basically that's what we're trying to do in most cases with SQL. So prepared statements is one of the number one defenses nowadays against SQL injection. So finding a way around that is a lot harder than arbitrarily injecting SQL into a statement.
Yeah. There's a lot of nice ways to do prepared statements now. A lot of node libraries out there. So most of the times they work, but those can also be places to look into. If it's like a special, or if it's a like SQL injection type of challenge.
Somebody asks, since we talk about cookies so much, what is Ryan's favorite cookie?
That's a good one. Do I hurt people's feelings or do I not? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Oatmeal raisin is pretty darn good. But also chocolate chip is pretty good too. Okay. Sweet. Again, there's a lot of stuff here. um, so we're just gonna try to go slow for all of those people who are trying to still do it. How do I switch over? Here we go. Chrome. Bang. Sweet. So just a quick thing for that. That's the home. Then part one. So for part one, there's the default databases that were given are the basic, or the two tables in the default database are basic tables and basic table name. So one of the things is the information schema. So if you just Google this one, you'll get a bunch of stuff on like what it is. There's a lot of information here. I think this is the right one. Maybe. No. So we can start off with just the select star from basic table, right? And we get a bunch of gibberish. An ID, a string, and an int. Yeah, we don't really get anything useful here, but if we select star from basic table names, again, we just get a bunch of names and ID, nothing important there. So how do we figure out if there are more tables here? Because this is kind of a big hint that there's actually more. So we use this little information schema kind of guy right here. So if we try selecting all from, let me keep that up again. If we try to select all from information schema, it's going to give us an invalid SQL syntax because information schema is a database, not a table. So if we go through here, we're going to try to access a table of information schema. There we go. So it's the tables table, which makes sense. So if we try to select star from information schema.tables, we will get all of this information. Gotcha. So we get, well, all right, one thing to note, this label here is no longer accurate. So this is no longer an ID, this is no longer a string, and this is no longer an integer, since we're requesting things that are outside the scope of basic table and basic table names. So all of the information here is not the same as this table heading up here. So what we're looking for is, I might just control F it in a second. There we go. So we've got basic table names, and then flag table. So we can see the database that this is a part of. This is the part 1 database, part 1 database, part 1 database, and then this is the table name. So we've got basic table names, and then flag table, which was not included in the little explanation up top. So if we just select star from flag table and then query that, woo, we get the first flag. So I went through that kind of quick. What we first did was select star from information schema.tables, which will print out all of the tables that we can access. If you want a better or a more concise way of doing this, you can just use the table name, and you'll just get the table names, and you won't get all of that other information. And you'll still get the flag table, and basic table names. And then once we saw that there was a table named flag table, we just selected everything from it and got the flag. So I'm going to pop chat open real quick since Rowan had to go for a second, see if there's any questions. The star. So this star in SQL terms is just kind of a wild card, which stands for like everything. So this star, if you've used the terminal before, if I do an ls, it'll just show the ls of this. If I do, let's go into a directory here. So empty directory. I'm going to make a directory 1, and I'm going to make a directory 2. And then I'm going to go into directory 1, and then just create a file 1. So we've got file 1 in directory 1, and then if we go up to directory 2, file 2. So we've got file 2 in directory 2 and file 1 in directory 1. So if we just do an ls, it'll just be directory 1 and directory 2. But I actually don't know if this. Yeah, here we go. So this star means everything in the ls, so directory 1 and directory 2. So it'll do an ls of directory 1 and also directory 2. So hopefully that's not confusing. You can just interpret this as everything. And if you're looking for more information on this, I believe it's called the clean closure, and it's a computer sciencey term, but it's also an asterisk or star, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I think that's all the questions I see. Let me scroll up a little bit more. All right. And then we're going to head over to part 2. So this is more of a CTF challenge, where you actually have a search bar, and you don't actually have just a direct query into a database. And so you're actually doing a search, excuse me, on a database of, in this case, books. So if we want to search for, I don't know, the Great Gatsby, we just typed in, oh my goodness, what did I hit? Great, and then the search worked, and the Great Gatsby popped up. So the search works. That's a cool thing. But how do we get the flag? If we try to select star from information schema again, it's not going to work, since it's not a direct query. It's searching for the book, select star from information schema. So hopefully people saw this big red hint button right here. But here is the actual query that this search bar is using. So it's select title, author from books, where title is like, and then your input here. So your search. In SQL, these little percentage marks just mean like anything. So I don't have to type the whole Mockingbird title, To Kill a Mockingbird. I can just type in part of the title, and it'll search for things that just have part of that set search in it. So if you were confused on what that meant, it's again like that star kind of. And then and pages less than or equals to 400. So we see that all of these pages are actually less than or equal to 400. And we can also see that the ID is, we're missing a couple IDs here. So it goes 2, 4, 5, and 9 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can assume that there's more entries here, and maybe one of them is the flag. So first off, how do we break it? The first step to an SQL injection is to try to make it throw an error. So did anyone successfully get this to error? Use non-acceptable characters or a bracket. Yeah, I believe you could use non-acceptable characters. Are you talking about like encoding or like a specific one? Okay, I haven't actually tried a bracket before. So if you try a bracket, the search will continue. It won't actually throw an error in this case. But if we try a single quote, we do get invalid SQL syntax. So that's great. That's what we're going for. That means our quote isn't sanitized out, which is again what most CTF challenges have nowadays. You can't just inject a quotation mark into this. But in this case, you can, which is great. So let's just copy and paste the query out into the search bar. We're not going to hit enter, but I'm just going to show what the query would look like with our little single quote mark. So it looks something like this with our single quote here. So you've got select title, author from books, where title like single quote, percentage mark, single quote, closing single quote, and then you have this kind of dangling single quote here. So that's cool. This is where our syntax error is, but what can we do with it? So we have to add something in here to make our selection work. So did anyone get this to work? So great. I'm seeing a lot of cool stuff. You can actually just select stuff from the end here. So once we have this single quote, we are now in SQL syntax land. We're no longer restricted to just a string. So now we can type in another valid type of SQL query here. So if we wanted to do that, a big way, or a main way people do this, is they'll do a union selection. So this is our, I'll type this out first inside of the query and then show just what the input is. But we've got union select, we'll do title or table name from information tables. So I believe that's right, but if not, who knows? We'll find out soon. So yeah, our input is now this, but we'll still get an SQL error because we have all of this to deal with. So a simple way to get around this is to just finish off the statement with a semicolon and then comment it out. So if we copy this, this is our input here. I'll actually save this over here if we need it again. And internal server error, sick. So this breaks it real hard, and not in a good way because we didn't get anything back. Nice. But I did the table underscore name. Nice. So one thing, union select will not work unless you have the same amount of things returning from it. So in this case, I believe it's 2. So we're just going to add another table name. Let's try that. Nope. Table. Will work eventually, I promise. There we go. So, I lost it. Does anyone remember how many things I put in? I think it was 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. And I lost it. God dang it. I'm trying to keep this up so I can actually show you guys. Oh, Chrome is gross. So it's 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Copy, paste, bam. All right. So this is our query. We're selecting, or we're trying to grab table names from the information schema. So here we go. We have the table names over here, and then just 1, 2, 3, 4 to match up with all of the rest of the selection from the query that we're unioning this selection with. So this is how I'm going to store everything, just in the URL bar of Chrome. But here is our full query that we just ran. So we're doing a search for books that have any title, and then we're selecting the table name from information schema.tables, which is great. So we can actually notice that we no longer have our page restriction here. Which is cool. So let's look through these table names. Looks like there's just the books table suite. So it looks like whatever we have to do is going to be in this books table. We could also search for the databases, but but yeah, it's not there. I'm pretty sure there's another database. So yeah, once we know that, oh, that's a good question. How can you figure out the delimiter? So in our case, our delimiter is for the strings is this quote. It's that guess and check until it breaks type of thing. But yeah. So I forgot to read. There isn't apparently a flag in this one. Or I forgot to put a flag in this one. But the goal is to craft an input to print out all the books in the table. I guess there's no flag. But anyway, so we already did that. We have all of the 9 books in the table. So hopefully you weren't stuck on this one. But yeah, so the what's that?
There is a flag if you
Is there a flag?
found the chat flag if you can check yourself so many times. The semicolon and comment sign will select everything, it seems like.
Yeah, so oh, well, that's cool. So I guess if you selected all the flags or got all of the books, congratulations. You just had to print only the amount of flags. But yeah, I was pretty sure there was a flag. I just forgot where I put it. But yeah, sweet. So congratulations everyone on this second flag. If you did get it, hopefully I didn't confuse anyone with my rambling about forgetting to put a flag in. It's here. But yeah, any questions on that? Why the pound sign? I believe you can also do these double dashes as well. Yeah. So you can also use this little guy to comment stuff. One thing that I don't know I've just picked up over the years is if you put like another dash beside it, it'll work. But if you don't do that extra dash, it'll give you an invalid syntax. Not sure why it's like that, but uh, it this double dash comment um, will actually work. Um, yeah. So again, yes, the union select star from books and then comment will also work. I just selected way too much stuff, and I think I just wanted it to print double check that there's 10 things. Um, Yippee. What happens if you don't have a query to inject your SQL statements? Um, yeah, you'd have to do a little bit more working. Usually it's like a jQuery request, where it's doing something on the back end, and then updating the web page at some point. If that happens, you can just send the request yourself, and you don't have to go through like a text input bar. If it doesn't give the query with a little hint here, uh, again, this is a very difficult thing to do, but you have to guess and check through just experience and try to figure out what their query is. It's kind of what I did with the union select 1, 2, 3, 4. This query isn't actually accurate since it does select this ID, title, author, chapters, and pages. So that's this would be the ID, same ID as or same column as the ID. This one would be the same column as the title, etc., etc. But yeah, jQuery is just a way to for JavaScript to make requests on the page, and can do other stuff as well. But yeah, I'm not going to go over that in this presentation. How does sanitization work? It depends on how they're sanitizing their inputs. Usually they'll just see a quote and just stop the query in general, and throw an error. Sometimes they'll take it out and let SQL throw an error. It depends on how they're sanitizing inputs, if you can get around it or not. There are CTF challenges where you have to kind of evade the sanitization of like a search query type of thing like this. But yeah, awesome. So let's keep moving on. We've got some more time left, and that means we get to learn more, especially this part. So if you haven't already seen this, there's some backstory. So I'm pretty sure the person who wrote this response is a Boilers member, but it's hilarious. So pretty much the main message from Boilers is that we're a club. Please come to our meeting. Our information is on this website. But how this person interpreted it is, we're really good at web exploitation. Oh, here's a totally safe hyperlink that you should definitely click on to learn more, which is kind of hilarious. Because I mean, it makes sense. You don't want to have someone click something if it's related to hacking. It just makes people really uncomfortable. So I'm going to go over first a couple things that people can do with links, and how to identify links that you should be suspicious of. So to do that, I'm going to open up the Chrome Docker thingamabob. We don't need any of this. Sweet. And we're going to delete everything and then make test2.html. Just a quick HTML document of a link. So that's not valid. We give. Please go to there we go. So if we have a link with the source to Google and then the text like so. So let me pull open the source because that was super quick. So this A, I believe it stands for anchor tag. I'm not really sure why. But this is just the source of the link that you'll go to if you click on this text. So in this HTML file, you only see this link, even though there's two like pieces of two links here. And the first way to identify if something isn't right is if you just hover over it. If you look in the bottom left corner down here, or to go to the bottom right if I try to scroll over it. But yeah, anyway, you can see that the link's source or where it's going to take you is pulled up. So that's one way to identify a malicious link. Or something you should be suspicious of. Obviously, if this is like Google without the HTTPS type of thing, but the actual link has the HTTPS www Google blah blah blah, that's okay. It's just a way for people to make links not look ugly, which is again totally okay. But if someone were to send you a malicious link, they could do some not so nice things to your browser or you. But yeah, so most links that you're going to find that are like malicious are going to be phishing links. And so hopefully at least some of you have heard what phishing is before, but it's where someone impersonates a website. So instead of Facebook, it's like Facebook with like 3 O's or O's. And then you type in your username and password there, but you just send them your username and password instead of Facebook, and then your account's compromised. So that's really the most common type of thing that people or that malicious links are. And you can identify that here if you just hover over it, double check that it's actually google.com, because let's keep editing this. So we've got the text displayed over here as google.com, but if we were a malicious person and wanted to send you to Bing, we could just change this right here. Testing, there we go. So this link, it still says google.com, but if we scroll over it, it's going to say Bing, and it's going to take us to Bing instead of Google. So that's something you should be on the lookout for. But yeah. Anyway, if there's way more than just this to identify malicious links, but I'm just going to go straight into some stuff that people can do with them because I find that a little bit more exciting. One other way, there's websites online where you can double check if a link is safe. think you can just Google, is this link safe? Something will pop up. But yeah, so one thing a malicious link can do is this thing called CSRF, which is cross-site request forgery. I'm not going to go over it too much other than to say if there's a CSRF vulnerability in a website, a link that is crafted properly can make you and your account and your browser execute an action as if it were you, and without you like consenting to that action. So whether that's like deleting your account or following someone on Twitter or something like that. What I am going to go over is I'm going to go over some XSS. So first off, what is XSS? XSS stands for cross-site scripting. Hop back over into the PowerPoint. And yeah, so the basics of XSS are hackers executing, or malicious people executing code into a browser. Specifically, someone who is unsuspecting and does not want this code in the browser. But yeah, so the way people test this is if they can get script alert and then script into the browser to pop up, then there's an XSS vulnerability in the website. So I'm going to be using this instead of any actual like JavaScript exploit code, just because it's simple and easy to understand. But yeah, so there's three main types of cross-site scripting. There's persistent, reflected, and then this DOM-based cross-site scripting. So first off, there's persistent, which is pretty bad, but also very interesting and easy to understand. So pretty much, someone sends XSS onto a server, and then the server will store that, and whenever someone visits that page, the XSS or the JavaScript will run, doing alerting the browser that there's XSS here or JavaScript here. So actually, I'm going to go over what some things can do with like a cross-site scripting vulnerability. So in my last session, I talked about how JavaScript is super powerful now. And if you can get a script tag, that means you can do anything with JavaScript. So whether that's accessing the cookies of the website and then sending them off somewhere else, or like part of that CSRF stuff that I mentioned earlier, or pretty much anything else with JavaScript. Tracking is a good example of this as well. But yeah, so persistent is not a good XSS to have in your website. These are typically found in, or most commonly found in, form posts. So user hackerman submits a form post with an XSS or script tag in it, and then it gets rendered to all of the other form users that visit that page. So that's persistent. The next one, reflected. So the reflected pretty much just means if you send a request to a server, then the server will respond with the JavaScript inside of the response. So, for example, if it was in your link, such as like the query string, and then the JavaScript is in that query string, and then the server has a page that renders part of the query string. That could be an example of a reflected XSS vulnerability. But yeah, just know that it's the server, the JavaScript will be sent with the server's response. And then DOM is a lot more confusing to go over. It's weird and relies on like a page that adds HTML elements to the page. Adds HTML. Yeah. So for example, we just have this super simple like page that sends whatever you put into the name into just the hello. So it's like a hello world, but with the query string. And so if this JavaScript was just parsing the query string for whatever the name is, then we could have something like this, where we have name is equal to script alert and then script. So it'll pop up an alert because it's trying to render this name on the website, but it's actually rendering a script instead. So yeah, DOM is a little bit more confusing than I'd like it to be. So if you have any questions, try to ask in a little bit. I'm going to go do this demo real quick. You can follow along. But it is is in the Docker container at localhost 3004. I'm going to leave that open for like 3 more seconds so people can go to it if they want. It looks really ugly. Then I'm going to switch over here and go to it. There we go. So this is a very disgusting example of a form, but it's just got name and comment. So for example, Joe, hi, we submit this. Welcome, Joe, your comment is hi. And if we notice in the URL bar, it's PHP, woohoo. And we have a query string. Oh my God, what did I do? It's PHP, and we have a query string with the name equals Joe and the comment equals hi. So if we go back here, Joe's not a great guy. He doesn't want he wants everyone to like his post or whatever. So he's just playing around. He wants everyone to see his post. So he's going to try to put in this heading or HTML tag of hello so that everyone can see it, or as if he's shouting. So what we just did is we just put an HTML element onto the page with this link. And so what we can do is we can actually copy this link anywhere, and it'll still show the same thing with this h1 tag getting inserted into this web page. So that's cool. You can do a bunch of stuff with that. You can make things like italics, bold, bigger, smaller, whatever you want. But you can also put in the script tag like so. And now we have a cross-site scripting vulnerability. And so this is, I'm just going to say it's a reflected vulnerability or cross-site scripting, because this script is in the server's response, and our input is getting reflected off of the server and back at us. So if we were to make a more in-depth kind of JavaScript here, let's say with this and then submit it. Oh, would you look at that? We have alerted our cookies into this alert, and I keep clicking off it. I'm sorry. Here we go. So this also happens. Oh no, it's just it's just going away. So yeah, this is our secret, super secret. Please expand. Super secret password is this flag. That's just our flag, but we don't want anyone else to get it. But for example, if I send this link to someone else and they typed it in, their flag would pop up, or their password would pop up, or whatever. But that's cool. We could get other people's passwords popping up. But what if we wanted to send this password across the internet or the interwebs? What is the command? Simple HTTP server. No. Google's your friend. Simple HTTP server. That's about how we started. There we go. And I can't copy and paste into it. God dang it. Python-m simple HTTP server. Run that on port 5000. Sweet. So now we have a server running on 5000. And let's make this send the cookie to ourselves on 5000. So we can do this through a script tag. We can also do this through an image tag. So href equals or source equals 0.0. Yeah, we'll do 127.0.0.1, which is our local callback. Slash. I believe that should work. Boom, we've got no image. Let's just double check that we got a response. Oh, I forgot to do 5000. 5000. Okay, that didn't pop up. Slash image.png. Try that. Nope. Cool. Well, here we can. Oh, I see what's going on. We forgot to give it the little HTTP. There we go. So now it's sending a request out to here, which is our local server, saying that it's reaching out for an image. So what do we want to do with this? We want to get actually the cookies from our super secret password. Oh boy, it has been a while. So we're going to find out where I put my notes.
I'm just going to chime in here with an F.
Oof.
Everybody watching, this stream is going to give you an accurate representation of what it feels like to do CTF.
All right, so we can add an error to this, and then just all right, so this is just another way of alerting, which is cool. But yeah, I think we can do JavaScript in here. Interesting. Okay. So I've lost my notes, but that is okay. Would have been cool to see. Yeah, but anyway, so pretty much what would have happened here is the we'd have gotten cookie, and then it would have been our super secret cookie or super secret password that would be sent to us. But yeah, live demos suck. I swear I had it in my notes, but it's not there anymore. You can do a bunch of like document.writes. Actually, hold up, I can do that. Hold up. I do know that one. All right. Script document.write image shoot image SOC equals HTTP colon 0.0.0 cookie equals, and then that one plus document dot cookie image. Boom. I think this will work. Let's see. Oh, that work? Let's see the inspector. No.
We have a question. Are most CTFs web exploitation?
Most CTFs do have a web exploitation section. And most CTFs will also have a bunch of other categories that go along with web exploitation or alongside web exploitation. So each of these bootcamp weeks are going to focus on a different category that are commonly found in CTFs. And web is just one of those many categories. There's reverse engineering, binary exploitation, cryptography, and a bunch of other stuff as well. Thank you. Oh, I botched it. We're going to do this in the URL bar again? Script. Oh. Yeah, I got it. Gotta love Notepad. All right. Network. Did not give food. Um, what? Plus. Oh, live demos are the best. So ideally, why is it still equals what? Did you get it working? Oh goodness, this is embarrassing. Uh, Thanks, fam. Sweet. Yeah, no, that's what I had. Yeah. um,
I'd just like to make a point here. This is why we do documentation and test our documentation. So I'm gonna use this as a teachable moment as our event coordinator for the club. Um, so A, this is fine. CTFs are hard. It's fine to make mistakes. That's the first teachable moment. The second teachable moment is when you make a write-up, make sure that the write-up actually has the right command in it. Because we have a write-up internally for our officers for this challenge, and the copy-pasted command doesn't work. So good note for everybody, test them.
yeah, excellent. So, let's go back to the PowerPoint because demos. Yeah. Any questions on what uh what web is? Any of the topics I covered, as long as it's not that last demo
If
that
you do
worked
have a
out so
question
well.
about that last demo, I'm gonna make Ryan record. I'm gonna make Ryan record videos for each of the demos that he did that didn't work, and post them on our channel. So if you check back on the YouTube in 2 days, uh, there'll be a video for both of the messed up demos. So don't worry about that.
It'll
You'll still get your instruction.
it'll work perfectly the minute this stream ends, by the way. That's how it always works. But yeah.
I'm not seeing any questions. That's fine though. This stream has been extremely long.
Yeah, it has been.
Um, Anybody in our club, you're welcome to hop into the meetings channel, ask questions. Okay, we do have one question from Guava Lover. There's a lot to learn for web exploitation, JavaScript, PHP, HTML, SQL. Where do you start?
Definitely learn the basics of HTML. I recommend just making your own website is a good place to start. You get to learn HTML, and then maybe even some JavaScript if you want to throw in a framework as well, or Flask. Flask's a good one as well. Excuse me. So definitely your own project is a great place to start. So playing CTFs is a great place as well. Oh. If you actually play CTFs and try the web exploitation challenges, the you'll be able to learn a lot of cool and interesting stuff. That's how one of the ways I started. I just clicked on a challenge, had no idea what I was doing, and Googled a bunch of stuff, but I was able to teach myself a lot of concepts that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. And then if you don't solve the challenge that you were working on, people release write-ups at the end, which are amazing if they have the right commands in them. Um, um, and they'll be able to you'll be able to learn off of those write-ups, like what's going on in the challenge and what you should be looking for. Um, as well.
Let's see, we have another question. Do we need to learn Burp Suite for web stuff?
So, yeah and no. You don't need to learn it. One of the demos in there has burp or uses burp. That's one of the demos I'm going to be making a YouTube video for after this within the next couple of days. But it's just another tool that you can use to help you out.
We have a question from Bobby and Clusto. Twitch wouldn't let me post the HTML in chat, but I sent a message in Discord for the last challenge. You should go back and do it real quick to show everybody how it works.
Excellent.
Also in the bootcamp channel.
Also in the bootcamp channel. Is it? Oh, interesting.
Sir Skull Legend, I'll just go ahead and answer yours. It's the center tag, so that's well, I'll just post it. I'll just put it in chat.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's just this version of Firefox doesn't like it.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It is an it is an extremely new version of Firefox. We have another question. Question about web security. What tools can be used to prevent these kinds of web exploitations? Any tips for making a website more secure for a beginning web developer? It's from Hunter,
Awesome.
some number I'm not going to read.
Nice. Thank you for the question. Part of CTFing is learning how to make sure that your own stuff isn't vulnerable. So the only real answer to is, well, not real answer. A very good way to not have XSS vulnerabilities is to not have not accept user input. But again, that's unrealistic for some things. So input sanitization is a great place to start. For most languages and frameworks, they already have a built-in input sanitization function you can just call. And those are generally pretty good, except some PHP input sanitization ones don't work that great, but they've been depreciated and replaced. But yeah, input sanitization, just making sure that all input from users is treated as insecure, and to program around that as such.
All right, probably the last question. How did Ryan get to be so cool?
It's a good question. Many years of hard and arduous work. Definitely, I don't have a good example.
Do a kickflip.
Oh my God, who said that one?
Me, I said that one.
Oh,
All right,
yeah, if you
folks.
can kickflip, you're cool.
We're gonna go ahead and end the stream, just so we don't run too long. If you have
Yeah.
any other questions, go ahead and ask in the public Discord and in the Boilers Discord, wherever you ask. We will do our best to answer you. Thank you so much for watching. And on Monday at 6:30, I am going to be teaching reverse engineering. So we're going to be looking at the very lowest of the low level. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Thanks
right
for
there.
coming.
Yeah.